Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Autistic Voice Project. As usual, I'm Matt from roughly Louisville, Kentucky.
And I'm Erin from Napa, California.
And today we have a special mailbag episode because we occasionally, and by occasionally, frequently, and by frequently mean daily, get lots of questions from our listeners here or viewers if you are listening with your eyes. So, Erin, you have a letter from a person who is an allistic person who has
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that this will be a good episode for autistic people answer questions that allistic people have about autistic people.
That's
So
right.
I'm sure there's an easier way to say that, and that we'll figure out a way.
Yeah. So we want to kind of start to give some info about places and common sticking points that we have, seen in this email, but also that we've encountered in our own work
Hmm.
around what are, like some of the places that allistic people, by the way, for those of you who are new, allistic just means non-autistic. It's just shorter. Um,
Yeah.
so
Allistic people use the word normal, but because
yeah,
we like to think that everyone is special in their own way. So
right.
if you're not autistic, you get to be allistic. Congratulations.
Yes, exactly.
It's not quite
Um,
so neurotypical is what is sold as the most common brain type. Research is up for debate on that, but neurotypical means that you do not have autism, you do not have ADHD, you do not have bipolar personality disorders, you do not have trauma, and you have an IQ that ranges between 90 and 110, because all of these are in the quote unquote average range.
right.
Allistic means that you might have ADHD, you might have bipolar, you might have schizophrenia, you might have giftedness, all of these other things, but you are not autistic.
Right.
So, for the sake of argument, for the sake of clarification, today we are strictly going with autistic versus allistic, and a person
Right.
who is allistic asking questions about the autistic way.
That's right. So here's the first one. If ABA is so bad for autistic people, does that mean that all behaviorism is bad? Like, if your child misbehaves, would you send them to their room? Or is there some other method you use for discipline?
So, one of the I have a very strong as we've discussed on the podcast, I have a medical condition that I call snarkolepsy. And
Oh, snarkolepsy.
because of my snarkolepsy, my first tendency is towards snark, and
Hmm.
I must I have learned it is a muscle response that I must suppress the snark, because behaviorism is not it's much more extensive than this. But so the big thing is, for instance, I am a parent of an autistic child, correct? Uh,
Hmm.
he's been
Last
autistic
time
his
I checked.
entire life. Yeah.
Last time
And
I checked, yeah.
when for instance, if he was to touch a hot stove, I would say, please do not touch that hot stove, because this is the subsequent consequences. I have never sent him to his room. Number one, because he really likes being in his room, and that would not be a punishment, because I would say, ah, you did that bad thing. Now go in your room where all of your cool stuff are and play with your cool stuff. But he wouldn't learn anything from that. One of the
Hmm.
fascinating things that I find about allistic and neurotypical people is that they use punishment without regards to, is there a lesson being learned from this?
Hmm.
Because granted, it is much more labor intensive to take a child aside and explain in child friendly terms why something is unacceptable, why something is acceptable, and what the alternative is in an unacceptable situation. Because
Hmm.
if you say, hey, don't juggle that vase because it will break, and sometimes a child must learn from a situation. For instance, like, oh man, uh, a while back, my son was rearranging magnets on the refrigerator, and I was like, don't put it on this side because the magnets will get lost behind here, because for some ungodly reason I think that they put the floor tiles in after they put the fridge in. I can't move that fridge. I'm a
Mm,
very strong guy, but it either weighs 1 billion pounds or it's locked in somehow. But it's difficult to retrieve the magnets further back. And then he put the magnets on further back, and I was like, come over here, child. Do you see this? This is very difficult. Can you get the magnets out? He couldn't get the magnets out. This is why we don't put the magnets that far back, because now we can't get them out, and now they might be lost forever. And he started quivering and swelling up, and I was like, well, hold on, let me get a tool. Oh man, that was very close. We almost lost that magnet, but thankfully we didn't. What valuable lesson did we learn? Don't put the magnets where we can lose them. Very, very good,
right,
child. Go back to doing your thing.
right.
And I think it's more important to educate children than to punish children.
Well, and I think this is such an important distinction that you're making, because misbehavior typically falls into one of two categories. If the child is dysregulated
Yes.
and they're behaving in a way that has that they've lost access to their ability to think and choose, then they are going to be, um, they literally can't make choices at that point, because that part of their brain is not in charge.
Because the
It's
amygdala is
the
running the show, not the
Yeah,
prefrontal cortex.
exactly. Exactly. So if the misbehavior comes from dysregulation, you got to figure out what's causing the dysregulation and fix that,
You mean
right?
fixing the problem that's causing the problem?
I know it's bizarre and yet true. Um,
Fascinating.
I know, right?
Huh.
Um,
Sorry, the snarkolepsy kicked in.
I know. It's okay. I know this about you, Matt. It's all right. And we're going to actually address that later today.
Oh, yeah,
That's
because
right.
yeah,
Because
we need the
snarkolepsy is the
ABA to
thing.
cure my snarkolepsy.
No. We're not going to ABA it. We're going to
Oh, good.
understand more about it.
Oh, good,
Um,
good. I'm glad. I like the understanding.
so if it's a dysregulation issue, address the underlying cause of the dysregulation, and then after the kid is re-regulated, then you can help them understand how they got dysregulated, what they can do to help themselves or seek support along the dysregulation continuum, so that they don't get that dysregulated again in the future, and also understand the limits and boundaries of the behavior that they were demonstrating, so that they can see the consequences, right? um, so so this isn't a punitive thing, it's an education thing, like you were talking about, but it has to start with regulation, because if you try to do all that with a dysregulated kiddo, you're wasting your breath.
Yes,
You're wasting your breath. And you're also chipping away at the relationship you have with your child, by the way.
exactly, exactly.
um,
Ooh, and that's a big one. That's a big one, because research has shown that punish. Well, we're the term is positive punishment, application of a thing to end a behavior. There's
right.
positive punishment, positive reward, negative punishment, but the negatives don't get as well.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
positive and negatives in this context are treated like math symbols. So
Yes.
positive means you're adding something, negative means you're subtracting something.
Yes. Negative reinforcement means taking away something that is, you know, that you
That
don't
they don't
like.
like.
Yeah. Negative punishment means taking away something that you do like.
Hmm.
Anyway, the point behind this research shows that when you spank a child or send them to their room or do something that reduces that relationship between you and the child, they equate you with the problem. They
Yeah,
equate you with the issue at hand, and they don't learn how to handle the situation. They just build resentment. And
right.
the same is for authoritarians, because the authoritarians enjoy suppressing people, treating people poorly, and just saying, hey, do what I say. And we as human beings in general say, no, I won't be doing that. Thanks.
Yeah, I have a different idea here.
Yeah.
So the other category of misbehavior is misunderstanding, right?
Oh,
So if your child, and yeah, I'm simplifying, right? There could be other things at play, but these are the two biggest factors, right?
yes.
And so if your child doesn't understand, like yours with the magnets, right? If
Yeah.
they don't understand the consequences, or if they don't have the cognitive ability to understand the consequences, right? Which happens especially when they're very young and they're still developing their capacity for cause effect relationships,
Hmm.
um, then you know if you apply punishment to reduce a behavior, you don't build that kid's ability to think about the situation and make a better choice.
Yeah.
You just are pounding them, hopefully not literally, into a shape,
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of helping them understand why the shape matters,
Yes.
right?
I
So so if you want other methods of discipline, there you go. Do that.
yeah, I buy a lot of repeated items if I know that there's a chance that they could get broken through experimentation. For
Hmm.
instance, my my son doesn't listen to the podcast, so this is okay. He got a cuckoo clock for Christmas, which he dearly loves. He loves this cuckoo clock. Not a big fan myself of hearing a cuckoo every hour on the hour, but he loves playing with this cuckoo clock. He loves taking the hands off, putting the hands back on, pulling the bird
Mhm.
out, pushing the bird back in, and mysteriously enough, again with the snarkolepsy, it has
Mm.
stopped working.
Huh.
Fortunately, I have a second cuckoo clock that I am
Okay.
able to replace because I was able to say, "Oh, what happened? Oh, yes, well, you see, when we take the hands off like that, they can break. We shouldn't do that. I'll have to build a new hand. We shouldn't pull the bird out like that because it might break. I'll have to fix it."
Right.
And then he
Hmm.
learns I shouldn't do that because I don't like it that it's broken. And also
Right.
I get the reputation as being a wizard that can fix everything. So
Hmm.
it's a win-win. He learns from things, and
Yes.
I get to have the reputation as being able to fix any problem. The only thing is that I'm out as second cuckoo clock.
Yeah.
So there are
Yeah.
many better ways to educate children and to teach them
Hmm.
right from wrong and to teach them what we would like them to do instead of just punishing them.
Yeah. And speaking of punishment and discipline, that this particular question is actually really great, well worded, because they're asking, is there some other method you use for discipline? The word discipline comes from the word disciple,
Oh,
which means to learn.
ah, and
It
this is the
doesn't
thing,
mean to punish or to be
because
punished.
your child is in fact your disciple.
Yeah, and they are also a brand new human,
Yeah,
right? They
learning
don't
all the human
come
things.
into the world knowing how it works. They are a brand new human. So people who come into parenting thinking that their child should behave like a miniature adult,
Oh dear,
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
I don't even behave
Your
like a full
child's
adult.
brain does not behave that way.
No. Yeah, there was a meme a while back about how one particular person treated their child as though they were an ambassador from a foreign civilization aboard the Starship Enterprise.
I love it.
And yeah, and
That's
they were
awesome.
saying, "Madam Ambassador, it is customary to wear pants at public get-togethers. Madam Ambassador, we don't stick that in the light socket. Madam Ambassador, because this child is learning literally everything, and we have
Right,
to teach them literally
right,
everything about the world as we
right.
learn ourselves, and hopefully people are learning through these very words."
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else you want to add on that one?
Uh, I love teaching my son literally everything. I love
Mm.
demonstrate on my Facebook memories the other day. It
Mm-hmm.
came up that when my son is at his mother's, she lives with her parents. There was a time when they were mysteriously getting Snoopy books from Amazon, right? and they didn't know why. And I always show my son how I'm doing things. When I'm ordering stuff, I show him how to use Amazon. I'm like, you hit the button and you look for you type the thing in, you hit buy now.
Oh God.
It turns out he was getting hold of his grandfather's phone, getting on Amazon, typing in Snoopy and hitting buy now, and he was getting Snoopy books.
I love that for him.
It was magnificent.
That's fabulous.
One time I thought that his grandfather had butt dialed me, and it was when he was only like 1 or 2, and I realized that it was him, and I was like, Star Wars. He says, Star Wars, and his grandparents were in the background thinking he was talking to them, so they repeated Star Wars in the background. And I was like, hello, 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 and he was just having a conversation because he saw that, and he pushed the button, and he realized how a phone works. And over the past weekend when he was here, I taught him how to use the air fryer, and he was just delighted that he can now cook his own food in the air fryer to perfection. And I love when he just gets that light of, I've learned a new skill. And again, he's a kid. He may not get it the first time. He may mess it up a little bit the first time, 7th time, who knows? But he's learning, and God, I love that. It's so good.
That's awesome.
I don't really understand why some parents like to be authoritarian and like to have dominance over children. Yeah. I prefer to guide. And that leads to the whole thing about spare the rod, spoil the child. The shepherd doesn't use his rod to beat his sheep. That would be insane. The shepherd uses his rod to guide the sheep. You point the sheep in the right direction, and that's how you do things.
And maybe you like protect them from going off the cliff.
Yeah. And also, if there's a wolf nearby, you can beat the wolf with the staff to protect your sheep. This is a fascinating thing about how aphorisms become corrupted over time because people forget, like the bootstraps. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can't do that. So
it's literally not possible.
Yeah, it was created as a humorous fallacy, but it's fascinating. I don't get authoritarians. So yeah, I think that educating children is the most important thing that we can do as parents, as a society, as an adult. Anytime you see a child, if you can teach them something new, that's great. That's what we should do. That's our purpose on this planet. I believe that the purpose of us is to make the next generation better, and the next generation better. And every generation is one version closer to optimization. So that's our entire goal, to make the next generation better than us. And you can't do that through punishment. You do that through education. You do that through praise. You do that through love. You do that through helping them be their best selves. Although, our profession would cease to exist because you have all these happy people running around.
If that were the case, I would happily find another profession.
Wouldn't that be neat?
Happily. I would love to be out of a job.
Yeah.
I would love to be out of a job.
That's our whole goal, because we work ourselves out of our jobs by getting people to be happy. So
that's right.
If you want to have miserable, traumatized kids, go ahead, punish them, send them to your room. If you want them to grow up to be happy, healthy adults, then educate them, teach them, help them learn, be yeah.
And if these are skills you don't have for yourself, it's not too late to get them.
Yeah.
Right? It's not too late to learn how to regulate your own nervous system so you can co-regulate your child.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not too late to figure out, find resources, what have you, on how to speak at a level and at the brain development of your child so that they can understand enough of what you're saying so that they can shift their behavior.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, you might hear my dog throwing a temper tantrum in the background. So in case anyone wonders if my dog throws temper tantrums, she's doing it right now. Because
I noticed that you're not beating your dog.
No, she's pitching a fit. She wants to have her evening meal, and it's an hour before that is scheduled to happen, so she gets to wait.
So you point to the dog clock and say, "No, no, this is the time."
Actually, no, we've been using the buttons.
Oh, buttons. Tell
Yes,
us about this, because this is a form of facilitated communication. Tell
yes,
us.
they're officially termed assistive, I think, assistive
Augmentive and
interspecies.
assistive. Yeah. Oh,
No,
go on.
that's AAC.
Oh,
This is AIC because it's
AIC.
interspecies.
Ah.
Right,
Oh, that's
right.
neat.
Communication.
Yeah.
And they're doing studies out of I want to say UC San Diego um, on this, and it's so freaking cool. But one of the things that we as button teaching humans do, that's as part of this sort of culture of teaching our dogs and cats to use buttons, is we refer to our animals as learners.
Ah.
Right? So so my learner, who happens to be a dog, right, is still learning to press the buttons when she's wanting the thing that's on the buttons, right? She's at the very beginning of her journey. Same thing with my other canine learner. My cat learner has decided that he's not going to engage at this time, which is very feline of him, and it's fine.
Yeah.
He is
Some
welcome
of
to
us have
engage whenever he
PDA.
wishes. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. We'll get to that.
Ha!
Because that's another question. But when we're doing these things, oh, hi Kona, here she is. See, she finished throwing her fit. But part of what we're doing is we as humans are learning how to speak in ways that are more simple and more quickly captures the essence of what we're trying to communicate. Similar, I've read that it's similar to how American Sign Language grammar functions. Ooh. So instead of being like, no, bad, whatever, it's like, Kona, dinner soon. Right?
Oh.
She knows that means it's not happening right now. Right? And even though she doesn't have access to the skills for buttons for those yet, by speaking in that way, I get a better, more consistent communication towards my animals, right? And so what happens is when I communicate that, they're like, they might grumble a little bit, but it's like, okay, fine. I get that you have recorded that I want this.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. The complaint has been received.
Yes, complaint has been noted, and even though, like, if there were a way to ask them, do you know what soon means? They probably would not be able to say, yeah, I know what soon means. It means, not long. But it does mean that, but they have learned to associate soon with not a lot of weight, later with not now. And when you start thinking about how do I explain this concept in this more sort of straightforward essence kind of way, you start to realize just how many abstract concepts we have
Yes,
in our communication.
Yes.
And even still, like when I went on a trip about a month ago, and I wrote up a little script to tell them before I left, Mama go by, Daddy stay home, sleep, 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 Mama come back.
Ah, the number of sleeps.
Right. And then Kona safe, Orion safe. Orion is my other dog. And Shadow safe, but he wasn't in the room. And even just having that script, and having my husband repeat it when I wasn't here, fixing the number of sleeps as needed, it gives them a sense. Like, do they speak English? No, right? But they can understand meaning. Yeah, much more than we realize.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This because there is communication there. all
Yes.
creatures are capable of a form of communication, maybe not speaking in English, but even
Right.
the various
Exactly.
barks mean different things. And
Exactly.
so to summarize this question, uh, punishing my child isn't working. Why? Versus I've the versus teaching you can teach your dogs English by acting as though they're learners. So there's
Correct.
a great difference in approach with an astounding difference in results. So if you want
Right.
these sort of results with a human, please treat them as learners instead of as an
Yes.
object that infuriates you.
Right. Exactly. And if you're getting infuriated, A, look in a mirror, right?
Yeah.
That's your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's your
B,
problem, adult.
right. And B, if you need a break, find someone who can give you one. So that
Yeah.
find someone to take care of your kiddo for a little while so you can get a little bit of a break
There was
because you need it.
Oh,
And
oh,
that's
oh,
okay.
oh. Okay, a while back. I my son's tablet needed more storage, so I got a new disk, a new the SD card, right? And as
Hmm.
you know, I get frustrated when things do not go as they should because
What?
process complexity. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
snarkolepsy.
My snarkolepsy just came out.
Indeed, yeah. So I had to format this chip to where it was working in the tablet but not working in the computer, and
Mm,
it was very much frustrating me. And my son was like, "Bigger chip, need bigger chip," because he's a Gestalt language processor. Once
mm-hmm.
again, not working with the complexity of the language, and I had to say, Daddy's very frustrated by this. It should be working. I don't know why it's not working. I have to figure out why it's not working, and it's very frustrating. And I
Mm-hmm.
explained why I was getting frustrated. I explained that I
Mm-hmm.
needed to take a break. I explained that I needed to do research online to figure it out. And then I said, I found a solution to the problem. And he says, found solution to the problem. And it turns out that now you need to plug the tablet into the computer to copy files onto the tablet. It's working as designed, not
Excellent.
intuitive, and it worked out. And he got to see me model how to handle frustration. I pointed out I was not frustrated with him. I pointed out that things are on the tablet as they should be, but I wasn't understanding them, and I needed to understand them, and I was frustrated because I didn't understand. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I did understand, I explained that I was happy that I understood, and then now he
Yes.
understands it too. And
Mm-hmm.
again, this is teaching. So
Right.
yeah, don't punish your kids, educate the kids.
Well, the other thing that you did that is really important that I just want to highlight is you also taught him about your thinking process.
Ah, yes.
And that's another thing that that's so vital, especially in this day and age,
Yeah.
where critical thinking is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
Um, and like, if you tell him, this is what I'm seeing, these are the things I've tried, these haven't been successful yet, I'm going to try something else, and then I will report back. And you narrating that to him, then he learns how you critically think, and he can start to apply that when he has tasks that are outside of his grasp,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
that's not something that that's not something that a lot of people learn. Another thing
Unfortunately.
is using resources, right? Like, I need to go look that up, probably on Google or something. When I was a kid and we didn't know a word, and we asked my parents, what does this mean? They were like, I don't know, what does the dictionary say? Right? Not
Yeah.
because they were being snarky, but because they wanted us to start thinking about how can we look for our own answers. Not that it's not okay to ask for help, but how can we look for our own answers in a way that helps us be independent lifelong learners,
Ah,
right?
I love that.
Similarly, I remember another time when I was probably, I don't know, 12 or 13. And my dad and I were driving home somewhere at night. And in California, they use reflectors on the road to indicate, where the different lines are. Like, if it's the double yellow where you're not supposed to cross or whatever. And I saw blue reflectors, and I asked my dad, what are those blue reflectors? He's like, what do you notice that happens at the same time as the blue reflectors?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to keep driving. Why don't you pay attention to that and tell me what you think?
Ooh,
Give me your
data
hypothesis. Data gathering. Exactly.
I love some data gathering.
Right. And after a little while, I was like, oh, hey, wait, there's a fire hydrant every time there's a blue reflector.
Ooh, like, that's neat.
Okay, yes, that is accurate. Why do you think they do that?
I use that phrase with my son too. He started
Right.
saying that is accurate. Go on.
That is accurate. Yeah. Why do you think they do that? And then I thought about it for a while, and I was like, I don't know if I got a couple of guesses wrong or not, but eventually I landed on the correct answer, which was that it's to help the fire trucks at night find the fire hydrants more easily.
I like that. Very nice.
Right? But he didn't just give me the answer.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't teach me to think. He taught me to think instead, but that takes more effort, and that takes more discipline on his part.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky that both my parents were that way.
I'm willing to bet that they were bottom-up data processors too.
I at least partially, you know, we definitely have neurodivergence strong in our family. We have different flavors, but and people's diagnoses are their own, but there definitely is a lot of critical thinking and thinking about not just what happens, but why do things happen and how do they fit together. And that's a skill that I had no idea I was learning as a kid that has been absolutely vital as an adult.
Yeah. And that's a big thing because, and this is, I coined the term pathological demand compliance for people who don't ask questions and for people who just blindly obey. Because the authoritarians want people to blindly obey and to not ask questions and to not understand things.
Right.
But I can't do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, should we perhaps save the other questions for another episode? Now that
wow,
it's been I
can't believe we're all that was.
There was a lot to say, apparently.
I do love the fact that why can't a child just do what I say, and we have a half-hour explanation on that? Because
so this is the way, my friend. This is the way.
Yeah. This is how we do things. Because the other questions are about PDA and
there's a PDA question. There's
I refuse to answer that because I'm PDA.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. Well, that's the thing about because PDA is not a behavioral, an oppositional thing. It's way more complex than that, and I don't know if we'll have time for that at all. But we should definitely do an entire episode about PDA.
Yeah, or maybe a few.
God. Yeah, because
but only if we want to.
Only if we want to, and only if we're feeling like it. Because otherwise, we'll just say, no, because we're PDA. But I think we could cover the snark. Because
we can talk about the snarkolepsy.
Yeah,
Let's talk about snarkolepsy.
Because we've covered it. So we might as well fill it because what's that question about the snark there?
How can autistic people be so simultaneously so literal, but also some of the most sarcastic people I know? I have no idea what they're talking about.
Apparently, this person only knows 3 people. I say sarcastically.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay. So this is a neat thing. This is the neat thing. Okay. So, this is something that I explained to people when I was working in community mental health, because when we take things literally, we can find humor in that literal interpretation,
Indeed.
Which is the essence of the sarcasm. Because it's like Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia does things literally, and it's funny for us. So when we take things literally, we can say, "Oh yes, God, I can't even think of an example right now, but the snarkolepsy will kick in at any moment." And
Anytime.
if you haven't gotten the 17 examples so far, then well, actually, that's pretty snarky, isn't it? That's pretty sarcasm. Yeah, there we go. It just showed up. It again. I'm at the mercy of my snarkolepsy and demand avoidance. This is how we live our lives. Inside you are two wolves.
That's right.
Yeah.
How the hell did that get in there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, quit eating wolves.
It reminds me of the sketch, Hannah Gadsby, who's an autistic comedian and really hilarious. It describes a moment that she experienced as a kid when she really started to realize that there was something different about how she processed language than like how her teacher did, for example. And the teacher was telling the kids about prepositions, and you know, and the teacher was using a box as an example, and you know, like there was this whole thing. You've got to watch it. It's I can't even explain it because it wouldn't do it justice. But the point is, at certain points along the way, like because she's taking it literally, at one point Hannah Gadsby starts to wonder, like, are the box and I related, right? Like, because she was talking about you know, a box in relation to a person, and she's like, how are we related? Are we cousins? Right? And then at some point the teacher switches the analogy from a box to a penguin, and now she's like, how am I related to the penguin? And like, what does this have to do with the box? And you know, as a kid, she would have likely been just mystified, like really trying to figure things out. And the teacher, of course, interpreted her questions as highly engaged in the lesson. The teacher, instead of interpreting her engagement properly and her understanding as you know, literal language processing, the teacher assumed she was being snarky and obstreperous.
Yeah.
And,
oh, that's a good word. I like that word.
Right? Thank you. That's one of the ones my parents made me look up.
Very nice.
Yes.
And now you, dear listener, can look it up yourselves.
That's right. I was the child who read the dictionary for fun.
Of course. And that brings up a thing, because of the bottom-up data processing, and as we've already established, kids are born into this world as a tabula rasa, a blank slate. We must learn every single thing. So we build up the building blocks differently than allistics do. And I realized, as I was watching Back to the Future with my son, when I first watched the movie when I was much younger than he is now, at the beginning of it, when they don't show Marty's face for the first like 5 minutes of the movie, I said, will they never show his face? Is this a movie without a face? Does he not have a face? Is that the reason we're not seeing his face? And I distinctly remember asking all these questions, and my parents were dumbfounded as to why I would ask these things. But again, it's the bottom-up processing, and the bottom-up processing causes the literal thinking. And the literal thinking leads to the snarkolepsy, because as we grow older and we learn to play with the language, of course we're going to do that, because at first it's mistaken as snark when it's actual questions, and then we intentionally do it because we just find it funny.
Right. I mean, it becomes a form of play. But the other thing too is I want to highlight that there's a difference between receptive language and expressive language.
Ooh.
Right?
Input and output. Tell us about this.
Exactly. Receptive language is what you receive in. Expressive language is what you're expressing out. When you are expressing something, you know what you mean.
Yeah.
You already know that. And so when you're putting it out,
off the thing. Take the thing and put it from the thing into the thing. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But this also happens with snark. Like, I know
Yeah.
I'm being playful and I know I'm goofing around, right? Where when we're receiving something from someone, our first channel is literal,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Yes.
so part of the challenge for people who love us, who don't understand why we can be snarky and also literal,
Yeah.
or sarcastic and also literal, is you have to think about the channels, right?
Yeah.
Which channel is it coming in on or going out on? Because
Yeah.
if it's coming in on a receptive level, then that's one way that our brain, like, we don't know what you mean by that, and our first unless we've learned the pattern of other signals, right? Like,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
husband loves to yank my chain. He loves to yank my chain. And that's a metaphor, by the way, for teasing
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like working me
Not
up.
going into your potential kink.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I'm not
Being
discussing
literal.
kinks
Yeah.
at the moment. So he loves to get me revved up.
Yeah.
And one of the ways he does it is he will say, he'll use the most deadpan expression he can, or the most neutral expression he can, and he'll just say more and more outrageous things, and see when I start to plug in to the fact that he's making shit up. So, and especially lately, it's been one of the ways that we've been dealing with the headlines, because he'll start telling, he'll tell me about a headline that he read about or whatever, and then he'll add on some other thing that's horrific or absurd, and it becomes this game of like, are you bullshitting me right now or not? Right? But
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
learned his cues, right? So I can play the game with him, right?
The cues are
Unless
important, yeah, to let them
yeah,
know that there are rules to this game and that the game
that's
is
right.
now afoot.
Right. And so now I could play the game with him, but when I'm exhausted and I can't do it, and I'm looking at him with the zombie eyes and the I can barely string two words together, and I don't even know what you're saying right now, and now you're telling me some horrible thing and I'm believing you. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're too tired for this. I was kidding." And then he
Yeah.
stops,
Yeah.
right?
And that's a relationship sort of thing where you
Yes.
understand the other person as a person.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have been there on several occasions, and I okay, so for instance, like when I was working around other human beings, if somebody said, "You're going out to lunch?" "Yeah, I'm going out to lunch." "Bring me a sandwich." And I'll be like, "I don't know how to respond to that. No." And then I would just, and my son does the same thing. If I joke with him, he'll just say no, and then keep on going. And I find it hilarious because he's just like, like the other
It's a
day.
very appropriate answer.
Yeah.
I'm not
Like,
playing that game. No.
yeah. One time I started singing Bingle Jails, Bingle Jails, Bingle, and he just said, "Daddy, no,
No.
no." And just, yeah. There's another time when I was doing groups, right? And this one lady was there, and this one group member, more than anything in the world, loved Johnny Cash. And
Okay.
I found a magazine with Johnny Cash. It was around the time he died, and I got it, and I was going to give it to her, and I said, "Hey, what do you love more than anything, Johnny Cash? Here's a magazine, yay!" But this person was also known for potentially going off topic. So as I was relating this story to a coworker, my boss was in the room, and the boss came over, and I was like, "Yeah," and I got this magazine and told this lady, "Hey, what do you love more than anything?" I got this magazine with Johnny Cash. I said, "What do you love more than anything?" And she said, "Pine trees." I was like, "No, try again. The country of Norway." No, try again. The East Coast. And I went on and on and on for like 7
How long
minutes.
did it take you to get to Johnny Cash?
Yeah. And my coworker was desperately trying to hold it together, but you could see the eyes watering up because she was like, "Uh-huh. Yes. And my boss was just like, get to the point, Matt, get to the point. And then finally the boss said, Matt, I've got to go. And just walked out. And my coworker just died laughing because, you know,
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. I think it is. But again, I've got a problem with snarkolepsy. I said snarkoleptic. So, yeah. So, yeah, this is a very thorough and good answer as to why we are literal and yet snarky, because we hear literal, we like to play with language.
That's right.
I like
Exactly.
it. So tune in next time for more How to Be Autistic from actual autistic professionals.
That's right. That's right.
We'll talk about a thing that we call special interests next week, and why we need special interests and why they bring us the joy, and unfortunately
And how to
why
rekindle them.
yeah, and why and this is a thing that the allistics may not understand, because allistics do not really have interest to that intensity, because it goes with our neurology. But
Yeah.
tune in next time and we'll teach you more.
That's right.
Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.